how that evolution happened and what triggered you to change course. And with you being a serial entrepreneur as well, because that's somewhere that you tasted the blood in your 20s, and now you are back with a bang as well. And people, just because there's so many hats that you're wearing, there is a lot of, we overthink a lot as well as we grow
Yeah.
older. Let's say I'm creating 100 cases
Mm-hmm.
monthly.
Mm-hmm.
I want to double it in the next 1 year,
Okay.
right? Hello everyone, welcome to another new episode of the Digital Dentistry Deep Dive podcast. Today we have with us a special guest. It's a homecoming. It's episode number 2, with a guest that was part of our first ever episode of when we started doing the 4D podcast. So we have Lea McGurk. Lea is the managing director of MGK Business Consulting. Lea, welcome to the podcast. Over to you. Do you want to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Yes. So thank you. Thank you, Nipun. And thank you to also all the viewers of the 4D podcast. And thank you for having me here once again. So, yes, I'm Lea McGurk. This is a surname that I adopted from my husband, Paul, a true and proud Scottish man. I am a Brazilian born with descendants from North Africa, specifically from Morocco, Portugal, Spain, Argentina. And for many years, I am British by choice, right? I'm a broadcaster, journalist, and lawyer by background. And I consider myself a dynamic and performance driven business professional known for my high integrity, strong work ethic, and inclusive leadership skills. I would say based on real empathy, open communication, active listening, and with over 2 decades of experience in law, market research, dental and medical product testing, and go-to-market strategies and additive manufacturing. I am completely focused on in the clear aligners industry for at least now 6 to 7 years. And I believe that at this stage, I can now say that I have consistently driven innovation, creativity, and growth for organizations across several industries. So I'm here. Let's see what the questions will be.
Thanks, Leah. And it's so vast experience, right? And I'm always like, not just your, the experience on the cultural side of, across different continents,
Yeah.
cultures, languages, but also, in the industries that you have been, and like you mentioned about, your law degree,
Mm-hmm.
journalism experience, and
Yes.
then within kind of manufacturing and dental industries as well. My
Yes.
first question, which I think I never asked you, I don't know, I remember I've seen your journalist, I think there was one post that you had done on,
Yeah.
I think there was a TV broadcast video, which I think we'll
Yes.
share. But how did you kind of, when you started with law into journalism into this business consulting
Mm-hmm.
role, strategy consultant, how that evolution happened and what triggered you to change course, or was that an organic progression?
Um, I think that about journalism was easy. Both of my parents are journalists, and my mother, she was a TV broadcaster for, I don't know, 30 years in Brazil, and she sadly passed last year, but she was one of, I looked at her and said, okay, I will be a journalist because I can see that I have this. And I studied, graduated as a journalist, and immediately started working as a broadcaster and working in the very, very, very early news. I remember that I had to leave home about 2:30 in the morning every day to go and to prepare. At that time, it wasn't that digital. You had to do things all by yourself. So it was much, 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 much different. And that life was okay for a few years. But when you think about forming a family, when you think about having kids, things start to be very complicated. And I thought that that would be probably the best moment for me to change my career. And the natural option was law, because I think that I do have this kind of a natural talent to argumentation, to write stuff, and to think about ideas. I am very organized when you think about what to do in terms of strategic planning and thinking. So I studied law. I started from scratch. I was a mature student when I went to law. And I was doing very well. Like, started with the family law, and then after that, found it more interesting working with business, contracts, and everything. And transitioning from law, I would say, this to sales and international business development was actually easy, because it was a journey driven by my passion for strategy and growth. When I remember when I was studying law, I developed a very, very deep interest in the strategic aspects, of business operations, especially related to regulatory environments. The impact of global markets and everything related to that part was super interesting. Even though I was petitioning, I was appealing, I was going to hearings, my mind was thinking about the business side of those ones. So I do believe that answering to your question about law, moving to business, I think that my legal education solidified the strong analytical skills that I believe I have and I had naturally, perfecting the ability to negotiate effectively, and understanding more about compliance issues, all of which are crucial, in any type of international business. That was it. So I saw an opportunity. I had the skills. I was studying and being trained to be a lawyer. I had the chance to apply these skills in the business world, and particularly in sectors where innovation and regulatory compliance were critical. For example, dental, medical, market research, product testing. That's exactly why I started there. And my initial roles in market research and, as a consultant at that time, allowed me to leverage my legal background to understand complex market dynamics, build a strong relationship with customers. And over time, I found that my strengths in strategic planning and relationship building were perfectly suited, literally. And if I can remember, kind of that, my interest at first was commercial operations, was not sales specifically, was more about the developing the operation about the commercial side of the business. How do you plan? How do you strategize? What is the sales that you need? What kind of a marketing? Then at the end, I end up at sales and business development, which led me to pursue opportunities in these areas. That was it.
That's brilliant, actually, and I see now the progression and how one thing led to the other. And from my personal experience, I think I've known you for the last 2+ years, or like I think more than that, maybe
Yeah,
around that time. And
yeah.
I remember I didn't know that you had a journalism experience. I knew on the law side of things, but then one of the things that struck me was obviously your style of management, right? That's something that was there was something unique about it, and this
Yeah.
coming from the kind of two scenarios where we worked together on. And the special thing that I kind of quoted others, like, oh, this is, did you see how Leah kind of operated that environment, was the communication. So I think a lot of times what we see is that it's in the business world, it's very transactional, but then you have a style of keeping all the parties informed at all the time, and
Yes,
keeping that transparency not just internal but also in the external, in the within the, the other partners that you're working with as well.
yes,
So I
yes.
think that was something special. Is that something that you did, that you do in kind of consciously, or is that kind of has become your natural style of operations now? And that's coming from your journalism experience of communication and legal as well, I would say.
Yes, you know what? Because regardless what type of relationship you are, right? Regardless, if you're talking to my customers, if I'm talking to the stakeholders of the company where I am at, if I'm talking to my suppliers, if I'm talking to my business partners or ecosystem partners, or even in your romantic life or your family, friendships or whatever, if you are not able to convert what you have here into communication in a way that everybody feels involved and everybody feels at ease with you doing, these parts of the talks. I think that those relationships, they would tend to fail because, in my opinion, in my own experience, I remember working with you in some projects where I had nothing to I was just like you, another supplier there that we were trying to win a customer. But I always felt that it was necessary that everybody had the same information. Even if the customer was talking directly to me about something that was related to my area, why not to share that with, company B, C, or D, just for them to understand how that circle was actually going? Because I think the worst feeling that, especially when you talk about professional life and business life, is that your partner is not being 100% clear and transparent. So I take this as part of my normal and natural way on how to do things and how to do things. Some people, they like this. Some people, they prefer to keep, a secret with them. Oh no, let's not tell them because this is going to give us advantage or whatever. I'm not here to judge, but my way on how to do business is making sure that everybody is informed, and decisions need to be made based on information. And the better information, the better decision you can make. So that's how I think.
And that's when that doesn't come naturally to a lot of managers and leaders as well. And again, I do agree to what you said, because I think in a similar way, again, it's not just internal customers that you have, which is your employees and the partners, but also externally as well. And I think a lot of times people tend to hold that information by themselves, knowingly or unknowingly, and not sharing it. And there is a value to transparency. People feel motivated, they feel that they're in the same kind of team and same family, be it externally or internally. And I think that I have seen that the natural kind of tendency for people is to hold information rather
Yes.
than sharing. And is that something that there's a different style to it, right? And that's not
Yeah.
doesn't come naturally. And do you see that working more than just holding off information, and
There,
like,
there
has
are
it
always
worked all the time for you?
exceptions, Nipun, because if you think about, sometimes you enter a project or you start working in organizations where the values and the culture of the company is different than the way how you do things. And sometimes you needed to adapt yourself, and sometimes you even do things that you wouldn't do in a normal situation, because you don't want it to be the odd in the middle of everybody doing exactly like that. So I probably say that there were some situations and some moments in my life where I wish I could have shared more. I wish I could have been more transparent about some situations. But the way how the company, or whatever the situation was, I couldn't, or I wasn't allowed, or I didn't feel that I was allowed to do in that way. So yes, and I do see that not doing that actually brought negative impacts in my project or in something that I was doing. So we always learn with those things. So nowadays, I would say to
Yeah.
you, regardless the way how the company is, I will make
Yeah.
sure that I will be transparent, of course, respecting boundaries, respecting technical and legal, you know, situations there. But I will make sure that at least the basic information, everybody will be, entitled to it.
Yeah, no, I think what I was saying, that you are above par of anyone that I've seen in terms of transparency and sharing, and I think that comes from the legal and the journalism background. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
if you're talking about pushing that envelope even further, that would be just fantastic. But I think I just admire that kind of style of yours as well. So
Thank you.
that was really good, Leah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. And I think we haven't even started our podcast on the actual question. So
Yes.
few weeks ago I did a poll on LinkedIn, and I was just first time trying, different content styles, and I was trying to kind of ask the target audience that Smile Genius has, which are mostly manufacturers and labs, and I was asking a very simple question that what keeps you awake at night, and gave them four options. The one that came out, I was thinking manufacturing for manufacturers. Again, it's a very generic option, but buying printers, operations, those kind of things would be the biggest headache for them. It wasn't. What came out as the biggest kind of response category was sales and business development and customer success. And when I got that response, I was thinking, who can I speak to who can give us that view? And again, that's what is the reason why I reached out to you for
Yes.
part two of this episode. That you have so much of experience in sales, business development, customer success
Yes.
in kind of different leagues, from a B2B to B2C side of things. So what kind of, can you share some thoughts around what strategies have worked in manufacturing, like from the printer side of things, in printing aligners, which has been directly
Yes.
consumed, kind of business to consumer in a way? So what strategies do you think works in each of those, and what is the similarities between the two?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to answer this question. Of course, that's not going to be, probably 30 seconds, 1 minute
Yeah.
answer that would explain the whole thing.
Mm.
But definitely, this is the way how I conduct my strategy, how I create that, and the way how I go. Sometimes it goes 100%. Sometimes you need to adjust. But in the clear aligners, and because this is exactly what we are talking here, in the clear aligners market, I do believe that training and education platforms for doctors and dental professionals, alongside a personalized customer engagement, kind of a department that you would need to have, and a strong relationship building. But someone in the team needs to have that kind of a talent of a build that strong relationship. It doesn't need to be the customer person that will take after sales. It doesn't need to be the salesperson who will sell, the brand or the alliance, but someone there that will build that strong relationship, because at the end of the day, it is personal. You know why? Because you have hundreds of brands out there, hundreds of brands out there. How many names do you remember of, people working in the commercial departments of those companies? You remember the brand, but you don't know the person. Sometimes say, oh my God, I would love to know someone from brand something. Do you know someone from there? People don't remember because they were unable to actually engage and build a strong relationship with that person. And I will go further into that. So I have found that understanding the unique needs of and preferences of dental professionals and their patients is absolutely fundamental. How do you get that? You only get that if you are close enough for them to feel comfortable of telling you the truth, right? Because everybody, when you go to talk to a customer, they can be extremely generic because they don't know who you are. They don't trust you enough to go to you and say, you know what, my problem, my pain here is this. Because the relationship is still so superficial that it's almost like the salesperson is analyzing the customer, and the customer is also analyzing the sale, and that everything passes through trust. If you trust, you will know exactly what they need. And if you know exactly what they need, you can offer exactly what they need. So it's almost like creating that involvement with your customer, that you can tailor solutions to meet their needs, that helps them build trust, and obviously a long-term partnership. This is how I do. I love to talk to my customers. I love to spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes listening to them. And even if I'm there for them to throw things on my face, everything that went wrong, but I am there to listen to them and to make sure that, you know what, I know how to address those ones. Let's go one by one. Some people, they are frightened to actually receive a bad feedback. No, I am delighted to hear a bad feedback. You know why? Because that's the only feedback that I can actually address. If everybody tells me that everything is perfect, it means that my relationship with their customer, it's not close enough. That's what I think. So this is the first thing. You needed to be closer to your customers. You needed to have someone in your team, or more than one in your team, that has this particular ability of breaking the walls and being, one. Let's talk about the tea that you like. Let's talk about the movie that you watched last weekend. This is one thing. Second, digital marketing. Then dentistry is very known as a traditional, area that everybody is still thinking about how many calls you're going to do a day, how many, like a leaflets, how many things or how many doors you're going to knock. This, guys, honestly, a good sales team, it's not made by 20 people there. It's made by a very, very good digital marketing team and the salespeople that will be there to convert those leads or generated leads into real numbers, right? I don't believe, to be honest, and I believe less and less and less, that sales will be originated by me talking to you about that, unless by any chance I will find someone in a supermarket and they ask me what to do. I work with aligners, and that sometimes it happens like that, but this is exception. In a normal situation, what would be? Digital marketing has been the most powerful tool, allowing us to reach and educate a wider audience. That's not what we want, about the benefits of clear aligners. By creating informative, engaging content, we can demystify the thing about the technology. And we can also highlight its advantages compared to braces, compared to, other things that they are thinking about using. You can separate, you can talk about your brand, why it's different than the other one. So you drive interest. From the moment that you drive interest, you convert the chance for you to convert that lead into a customer, and of course, consequently, income. It's huge, right? So additionally, strategic partnerships, for example, with dental groups, dental associations, dental personalities have proven effective. If you are seen with a celebrity from the dental industry, if that person is talking about your product, you can be sure that people will follow that as well, right? So by collaborating closely with these professionals, we can ensure that that your brand or whatever brand, they will have the tools and knowledge to confidently recommend products to their patients. So I educate, I train those doctors, I put them in contact with big names out there. I make sure that they know what their customers want and what they need. They tell me what they need. They tell me what's not working well. And that becomes a strategic plan on how to make, I would say, to guide my sales to the right, in the right way. And let me just say the last one, which is my favorite, data analytics. That's the vital role in my sales strategy. I was the owner of 12 years of a market research company, and my job was to collect and analyze data and to produce trend, market trends for this, for that, for different types of industries. So data is, I breathe, it's how I live. So if I have this, I can analyze market trends, I can analyze customer feedback, I can analyze sales data, and we can make informed decisions and adjust their strategies to better meet market demands. If you don't follow data, if you ignore data, if you have your CRM system beautifully there and you enter all the names, all your customers, you have every single information there, but you don't know what to do with that, something's going wrong. And I will tell you, it's a fail. I would say that maybe in 2 or 3 years, we will not be talking about your company. We will be talking about me helping you to find a job, you know? So I think that you needed to use those tools. And my strategy is, as I said, training, education, making the right partnerships, networking, and most importantly, please pay attention in data. Please pay attention. Hire someone in your company that will be data analyst or someone that's understands about that. You will see the transformation in your business.
Thanks. That's really fantastic. So I'll drill down into a couple of questions,
Yes.
right? And a few points that you mentioned. So one of the things is on the trust. And I think there are two kinds of, let's take two examples of two kinds of labs or manufacturers, right? So one is a well-renowned who is maybe, they want to grow, they're in the growth phase. And then there are someone who's doing, let's say, 50 to 200 cases a month, but they want to kind of convert more bigger groups or, find bigger markets as well. So there's one with known brand presence in the market, who has a team with all those people that you mentioned, from market research team to analysts. And then there is a 7-8 team manufacturer who's doing 50 cases, 200 cases, right? So what do you think has worked? And I think that you have worked with both, on the both sides, selling printers to materials to aligners. What has worked, because the smaller one is struggling to build that trust, because people trust the other people, the bigger brands more. So how do they build trust? And it takes time to build trust. It takes a lot of effort.
Yes.
It's not a overnight thing. So what has worked in the different experiences that you have had with those companies that did that successfully?
Well, you do have bigger brands, no? Some of them that they are there for really long time, and then everybody who started from 2017. Of course, those ones from 2017, you also have really big brands out there, and then you have those ones that I would say from small to medium size, and they are trying to have their neck out there to try to see if someone would be interested in building and having their brand or their aligners out there. We're talking about things completely different, because one thing is, if you go to a big brand has their contract, which is already there. There is no way for you to negotiate a contract with a big brand, right? There is no way that you can just go there and send back the contract and say, remove this one here, remove this one there, and whatever. The relationship is a corporate relationship. at the end of the day, this is what it is. You go there and you are a tiny, tiny piece there. You are literally a number, and you're gonna sell the same type of a line or the same type of product compared to another dental group that it's, in the corner here that they sell 300, let's imagine, cases. Their price will be way better than yours because they have a bigger volume. And you, even though you prefer to go with a bigger brand because the bigger brand has more what to offer, but you are not competitive at all compared to everybody selling the same brand. So I go to them and say, and normally ask, so what do you think is going to happen? No, but my clients and my customers, they are loyal to me. They are coming here because of my years of experience as a dentist and da 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 da. And then I say, yeah, but then when you go there and then you showed them a bill that it's going to be probably 30 to 40% more expensive than the guy that it's out there, do you think that they will continue loyal to you in that situation from the moment that hurts their pocket? So the conversation enters that level. And then I will say, and what about this brand here? A, B, C. Ah, I don't know their brand. From where they are. Are they produced here? What type of, they come to all the questions, the treatment type, and this and that. And then you started to create that kind of, maybe I should research more. My job when I was representing a brand of a liner was to talk about everything good that my brand was offering. I was never there to say, compared to that one, this is what it is. No, I'm not here. They talk about themselves. I talk about myself and my product. So for those small labs and small producers or small manufacturers, I would say that their strategy that they don't have millions to pay with marketing and than anything else, their strategy should be that would you like to be one more? Or would you like to offer something that, yes, it does not have the same star there in Instagram or in other things, but I am your dentist. You chose me and you trust me for 10 years doing all your fillings, all your stuff now. Wouldn't you trust me when I tell you that this product here, although does not have that brand, but is as good as the other one, or sometimes even better. And my price to you will be better than if you would go there. Why? What do you think that that customer will say to that dentist? Do you know? So I think that the conversation there, yes, we need to use the trust that the patient has in the dentist, but also when I talk to the dentist, I needed to make them understand that even though they want a big brand, a popular brand out there, their power in terms of competition in terms of prices is very, very limited compared to the other ones unless they grow their numbers. But until they grow their numbers, they will suffer a lot. Do you know? So that would be my conversation honestly with those ones. And I did have that conversation with many dentists. Some of them look at me thinking, I still prefer to have the plaque on my door
Yeah.
there. But how many customers do you have ordering liners from you? 2 in a month. Okay, so good luck.
And I think that's where, so when we have discussions with the DSOs as well, a lot of them are stuck with the Invisalign brand as the only brand, and they are thinking about everyone. There have been talks about alternative brands. What are the other brands that are happening? But I think it is very new discussions that are happening. People are talking about it, but it's kind of when there is a gap and when this chatter is happening, that's where the opportunity is for these new brands and labs who are in your region and vicinity of your clinics. You can pick up a call and talk to a person rather than a sales agent, kind of,
Exactly, exactly,
and it's come back to your relationship thing, right? So
exactly.
these labs have leverage there versus the bigger
But
brands.
but even if you grow, Nippon, even if you become, I don't know, 1,000 employees company, coming from five individuals working in that company, something that should never change is exactly the access of your patients, of your customers to you. That's the biggest, I would say, challenge, because as soon as you started to grow, to create, hierarchy here, when you see, you would never be able to talk to that person that you had on your phone in 5 minutes 6 months ago. That should never change. Of course, that you're not going to spend 30 minutes with that person, but your presence should still be, they should feel that you are there somehow involved. Because this is exactly the way how, business in the past used to work, and until today. Everybody knows that Bill Gates is the guy. Everybody knows about Elon Musk is the guy, and whatever. You should still look to that people, even if you don't talk to them, but you look at them because you know them. That's the point.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. So, how do these labs, and we're still talking about the medium size, small to medium size, like if you were them, right? How would you spot opportunities? Like if they are like, yes, that is the way to build trust, educate them on the differences, pricing, and how to talk to their patients. But how can they spot opportunities? And let's say I'm creating 100 cases monthly. I want to double it in the next 1 year,
Okay.
right? So how can you spot those opportunities, what they should be looking at even before thinking of hiring new people and sales, people in the team? What are the things that they can do?
I think the question here, when you talk about a lab producing, for example, 100 aligners a day,
Hmm.
I think the main question would be, what is the manufacturing option that you have? Because and it comes very close to me, because before I was the one selling printers, resins, consumables for people to have their own manufacturing, like production. And then after that, I was working for a company where they were producing aligners, outsourcing to sell to those ones that they did not have a I would say, manufacturing capacity. But we need to be honest here. If you have a company, a medium lab or a medium, you know, new brand there, if they go and they will produce, for example, 100 aligners a day, even 200 or 300 aligners a day, the power in terms of competition against, for example, outsourcing companies or bigger brands out there, the cost of their aligners will be extremely high. And even if you have a very strong and a trustful relationship with your patient, you're not going to go there and inflict that pain of a much higher cost and price for your patient, because you are not able to produce yourself in a way that thing can be competitive. So I think that the decision should start with the manufacturing choice. For example, working with industrial printers, the only number that makes a company competitive, talking about printing dental models, right? The number that would start making it competitive is if you produce over 600 units a day. If you go below that one, but having an industrial printer, which would allow you having only one operator, you will have a much higher cost for that important part of the process, which is the dental model, right? That will be used for thermoform later. And the same would go for the thermoforming machine. You cannot underutilize machines that they are so expensive. So in my view, and as a consultant, when I go and I visit a small lab or a medium-sized lab, my first question is, what is your current production? Is this? And I look at them and they have small, I'm not going to say brands here, but a small
Hmm.
thermoforming there. They still have people doing all the trimming by hand. They are using chair-side printers, and and they're still using discs and everything. Do you know how much it's going to cost per aligner? Probably 150% or 200 more expensive than if you were going to go and outsource that from a company that would be able to keep quality, that there will be real lead times, right? And that will offer them a series of benefits that would cost way less than if they will produce themselves. So if they charge or if they pay less for those aligners, Nippon, they can offer those aligners for a lower price and they can still be competitive in their small community, in their region. So they can start that journey in a different way. So in my opinion, the question here is not what kind of a sales strategy a small or medium lab should go. No, let's first analyze how they will manufacture that. And then we can talk about the sales after that, because it all will depend on how much it will cost for them to produce or to buy those aligners.
And what do you think is the difference between, let's say, a small, like, first of all, can you define what is an industrial printer versus a chair side printer?
Yeah.
I think not everyone would understand that. Uh, the second thing is that how these, and I think people need to do an anatomy of their own operations and look at individual elements that are costing them. So, what variations have you seen in terms of per line of printing cost for,
You have,
that they can
yeah,
get some from someone versus printing themselves?
to be honest, I think that the most diverse universe is in terms of 3D printers, right? You
Hmm.
would not believe, but depending on some countries and whatever, they still use filament printers, which is like a every time I hear that, it's crazy because it's not good at all. Anyway, but then let's talk about resins, or let's talk about those ones that normally people use. And then you have all those Chinese printers there that can cost from $300 up to $3,000. They small Chinese printers, which most of them they use LCD, which is the light source is using a screen of a mobile or a tablet,
Hmm.
and that's the light source that they use. Some of them they use additional light, for example LED or UV light, just to make it the process faster. And you're talking about probably something between 8 and 12. When I say it's a big, probably a bigger one, dental models per 1 hour, slightly less than that, you know. So if you think about, I have a treatment, my patient, if I need to print my whole treatment, let's imagine 24, per arch, 48 liners that I needed to send it to my patient. If my printer produces 12, dental models, let's imagine that all them perfect, that they don't need to reprint this one. 12, I need 4 hours to produce 48,
One
one
patient.
patient. And you still have post-processing, which is cleaning, curing, blah, 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 the whole thing. So it does not make any sense. And also, because even if the printer is cheaper, the resin is not cheaper. And also the resin is important to say that even if you buy in a very cheap kind of a supplier, you need to think about environmental issues there. You need to think about the operator that will have that printer and the fumes coming to their faces. You need to think about other stuff. Would you do this in a lab? Where you have other people working there, the smell of a printing, depending on what type of resin you use, can make people feel extremely dizzy and all the things. So you do have elements that you are not there. And when you talk about industrial printer, which the ones that I was selling for medium large, the ones I'm talking about, if it's in two, for example, shifts of 8 hours, I'm talking about producing something around 100 100 oh, sorry 1,200 1,300 aligners a day.
Wow.
This is the size of the difference. And of course, Nippon, if I have a small printer that produces, let's imagine, 60, 100 aligners a day, I will use probably 1.5 kilograms of resin. That
Hmm.
resin costs something around $30 outside there on the market. And this is how you're going to go for if you buy that price. If you produce 1,200 aligners and you use, a lot of resin, the cost per kilogram of that resin for that one will be definitely way lower than the other guy there. So
Makes sense.
it starts already from here. And then you can think about the thermoforming part, materials. I buy thousands of sheets or rolls, the other one buys 100. So my cost would be much lower. So, that kind of a thing. So I am, I wouldn't say fully aware that there are good companies out there, especially here in the UK, companies that would be able to replace this lack of knowledge, lack of production capacity, lack of competitivity from those companies, and to use this. And in 3 days' time, they will have their aligners out there, their door, without to get involved in production. So, yeah, why to go into the hardest part of, the workflow, which is to produce the aligner?
And do you see that a lot of labs? I know that a lot of labs that we know as well, they are doing their own manufacturing. And is that always the first step without thinking about alternative options where they can save cost and pass it on to their customers? Is that obviously the first step that people take? And there's a lot of education that's needed. And that's where we come back to the education and data analysis and looking at your costs. But I think people always tend towards buying a printer because buying a printer is cheaper and not put any value on your time and your resources that you're putting behind that.
So I'm smiling because it's interesting. When you are, of course, when you have your dental lab, you are great in what you do. You are great, in your business. You are the best one in that category. But when you started to add services and other products, especially when you talk about aligners and 3D printers and the thermoforming machines and then CNC
Yeah.
machines and laser cut machines and when you started to add to all those ones, they look at that and then I had so many times those conversations. Give me your costs, for me to just have an idea. They go there and they put the resin, and if the machine is already paid, they don't put the machine there, and then they don't think about the electricity of the time. They most of the
Hmm.
time fail to put the real labor, that they needed to pay. It's crazy that they think about the printer sometimes, the resin, and a few elements. When I show
That's right.
them in my, spreadsheet there, every single cost that they actually have, they don't believe it. So you think that you are producing this aligner, let's just hypothetically use a number here, and you are producing this for $3.50, actually you are producing this one here for almost six because you did not add this,
Hmm.
this, and that. And you start with this. So labs, when they think about, I'm going to do it ourselves. Look, we do all those elements here. We do crowns, bridges. We have all everything here. We can do it. But with aligners, is different. The amount of hidden costs that you have, it's really, really bad. So I would say, if you're gonna go for producing aligners, make sure that you have professionals that understand aligners manufacturing to tell you the truth of how much it costs, and to do the price structure according to real numbers and not those ones. Because if not, you're gonna lose money, and you're gonna realize this, I don't know, 2 years down the road, which
I
is
think
something that
you
you
explained it really
thought.
well. Yeah, and I think most of these labs, they think they know because they are doing the liner production is considered similar to as
Yeah.
the traditional labs. So I think that's where, and most of the orthodontic labs would extend into aligners. And I think without knowing, and I think having that education would help. Which brings me to my next question:
Yeah.
is you moved into you started your own consulting agency.
Yes.
So and you have so much of breadth of experience from you mentioned about manufacturing all sizes of kind of talking to all sizes of customers to raisins to being on the other end of selling that to the customers. uh, can you talk about the business that you've just started, what sort of consulting you're doing, and yeah, take the floor and talk about all the things that you're doing now,
Yes.
which is exciting,
Okay.
by the way.
Yeah. Super.
Now we've heard all the things that you talked about, so it's more
Yes.
exciting
It's
to know what
exciting.
it could all lead to. Yeah.
Yes, it is exciting, and at the same time, it is kind of a 24/7 job. And this, I decided to, because I had my company in the past. I had a law firm. It was my law firm with some associates. I don't know, 2007, 2011, something like that. And I saw about market research. I found it interesting because you know about a different product every day, and I do have this kind of a mind that I wanna know about everything, and I wanna know now
Mm.
everything about that. I wanted to become the best person talking about this. I have this kind of a mind that this hyper focus. This is me normally. So I have this kind of a thing. So I was doing law, still seeing my clients, still going to hearings, still going to court and whatever, but at the same time becoming a moderator for focus groups and in-depth interviews for market research. And then one day I was talking about I don't know, alcohol something. The other day I was talking about a toothbrush. The other day I was talking about. So the amount of information that you learn with that was absolutely incredible. And that it was, I was completely passionate about this. That's the reason why I was doing less and less and less and less law and growing that one. So that company existed for 12 years. When I moved to the UK, I still had my company for probably a year and a half, but it was super difficult for me to be in the UK and to manage, for example, a small office that I still had in São Paulo, and it was super expensive to be there. And my decision was to sell. So I decided to go and to convert, I would say, my part of the company to an American company, and I went out that. When it came now again, this bug saying, you know so much, you can do so much better, you make money, you make people getting so much money, and projection and whatever, why don't you put yourself out there? And then, oh, it's scary to start all over again. Nippon, I just turned 50. When I did that, I was 25, right? So it was like a right, really scary thing. Do I have the energy? Do I do? Yeah, you know what? I do have the energy. And more than that, I do have all the contacts and the network and the experience and the everything that I needed for that. So I decided to take that idea, because before it was only market research, collecting, analyzing data. Now it's almost like I'm going to take you by your hand and let's go together. What you are. Are you a medium aligners? Are you a dental lab? Are you whatever? Are you a manufacturer? Do you want to sell materials to whatever do you are? It's in the dental industry and medical industry. Let's have a conversation. Let me analyze your story, your company. Let me see what would be the parts that you would need some kind of a support, supervision, guidance, management, training, whatever. And we needed to create some kind of a diagnosis of that company based on what they wanted to share with me. And I hope that they do share everything, you know. And then after that, after I have this whole kind of idea to propose, look, this is what your company is. Are you looking for what? Market share? Are you looking for increase your profitability? Are you looking for optimizing your operational systems? There is that new technologies that you're looking for. There are problems with software. Whatever it will be, I am bringing my trusted partners, and you know, I told you I would like you to be one of those. And then I will bring them to this conversation with my customers. And then it will be their decision to go with A, B, C, or D. I will identify the problem, I will suggest and recommend a solution, and then I will also introduce a company that I trust and that I know that will do a good job, because at the end of the day, it's my reputation, it's my credibility that is there. So I will make sure that this whole process is done in a way that that customer is happy. That depending on the timeline that we agreed, the KPIs were achieved, their growth came, or something else that they were looking for. But at the end of the day, success of that customer, actually, it's more important even for me than for them, because it is a way that as I thought before, can I do this alone myself without to be representing a big brand out there? Oh, I can. Yes, I can. So that's the whole thing. I'm doing so many things at the same time that know I told you I just finished a course, counseling and for businesses. So that's why I'm talking about active listening, that I'm talking about empathetic, kind of behavior, inclusive leadership skills, because it helps to talk to people when you put yourself into their shoes. So I don't want to be that leader that people fear, that people will look at me and saying, wow, she's so powerful, she is so this and she's so that, that they don't feel that they can come to me to talk about, things. But my company is a tiny grain there that, with time, it may be something big, huge, or it's never going to be huge enough, but it will be huge enough for what I want for my life. And yes, I don't know. I can continue having my company and then I can just join another organization and to, separate or share my time doing something more 9 to 5 in the other one. My horizon, I think, at this time, at this moment in life, it's open, and that I'm really happy that I have these possibilities out there.
No, I think it's fantastic that you shared everything, and I think everything is possible, Leah. And it's very impressive because I think like you mentioned about your age and the experience that you're carrying, right? People don't take risks. Like, I think that's why you see a lot of startups and companies are pre-30s as well. And people just because there's so many hats that you're wearing, there is a lot of we overthink a lot as well as we grow
Yeah.
older, and we put a lot of weight to what other people will say and think, and all these kind of expectations. And I think it's very impressive as a person, like for me as well, kind of looking at you and and with you being a serial entrepreneur as well, because that's somewhere that you tasted the blood in your 20s, and now you are back with a bang as well. And I think it's kind of that consulting is so important, because I a lot of these business leaders, they stumble upon those roles from being a technician first to business owner. They haven't gone to business school, so they haven't been in those
Mm-hmm.
environments, and they have been in that bubble of sorts, and not knowing that they're leaving opportunities and money on the table because they're not doing the analysis of the
Yeah,
business for the sake of argument. So I think that you bring that 20-25 years of experience in those meetings, which is super helpful. It's like reading an autobiography or a biography, and learning about all the experience that the person who wrote that bring after reading that book. So I think that's how I see that business consulting. And you can just save years of dreadful work by going in a wrong direction,
exactly.
by knowing the right
Yes,
direction where you have
yes.
to go.
And, in one other moment, maybe we can think about in a month's time or year time. I would love to talk to you about, how sustainability can actually play a really, really
Mm.
serious part in everything that I do, and choices that I've made in my life and in my career based on sustainability, based on, everything that is related to this kind of a gender gap, female, male. How can we work, in a way that we can all just to be nice and respectful, which it doesn't matter who you are, how did you come. I'm Brazilian. I speak, English as my second, third, fourth, fifth language. And, we should never have those barriers there. If you have the knowledge, if you have the experience, who cares, if you are man or woman, if you are coming from India or from Brazil and you live in Ireland, I live in the UK. I would love to actually talk about those kind of, I think this type of subject would probably be very interesting to see out there, and people would relate to a lot to those stories as well. Can I just say
Oh, I think let's do it soon.
one last thing
Yeah,
about the
go on. Yeah,
DSOs,
yeah.
because I was asked today and I said, I'm having a podcast today and I will promise that I will talk about this one. It's a small thing. The person came to me and said and asked, how to increase profitability, in DSOs. And it looks like it's the holy grail in the sector of dental industry. It's almost like such a big question. And it was like a boom for me to answer that. And then I was just thinking, actually, you don't have a full answer how to increase, because it's a mix. It's almost like so intricate there. But one thing for sure, and if I do have, and if you do have, people interested in DSOs or managers listening and watching this podcast, I think that increasing profitability in DSOs starts with enhancing operational efficiency, right? You needed to optimize your patient care. You needed to make sure that you lever technology, because some people talk about the DSOs and they don't think about technology involved. And this is something that it strikes me, that talking about this. So first of all, start by streamlining operations. I think that this is important. What do I mean saying this? It's about, you have this in one of your products, making sure that you have an efficient scheduling system. Do you know how many chair time is lost if you don't actually have a good, no, the automated or something like this? Why do you don't do, for example, practice management in terms of software to automate administrative tasks? Why do you still have all those guys doing so many things? I still see people doing this. So how is this so super important? And let's manage inventory. It's crazy how much waste you see in those dental practices. I can tell you, this seems to be so simple. Come on, do you think that doing this you will gonna improve profitability for DSOs? I bet with you that you do. So, simple tasks. I'm not talking to you about investing millions in marketing or millions in, something. No, I'm talking to you about educating your staff, talking to you about managing in your inventory, trying to reduce waste, trying to make sure that your appointments they are there and someone will be there just to make sure that the patient's in the right time. And most importantly, everything related to the operational system, the operational capacity of that practice. If everything is perfect, you can be sure that your profitability will increase. I just wanted to say that it sounds like a so simple. Try, you will see it.
I think simple things are the effective
Exactly,
ones, right?
exactly. So
Yeah, you have to do simple
yes, so
things.
thank you, Nipun.
And I think just one thing to add, I think the
Ah,
cloud-based
yeah,
systems
yeah,
as well.
yes.
And we saw an outage yesterday. I'm not sure whether you're aware of that. There was an outage on the
Uh huh.
on-prem uh, patient management systems, and that impacts one day of lost or not tracked revenue could impact your profitability for that month.
Yeah,
So yeah,
we
technology.
can add so many other things here. You can differentiate your practice just creating a different reception area. I went to to a clinic in Birmingham once, and they have a specific room just for you to be there, beautiful TV, and you don't share that with anybody. You can be there 1 hour working on your computer. I would tell you the price was not different than other places. Why would I go to the other one? That type of different offerings and different benefits that would probably make you to have more patients and satisfied with your service as well. Anyway, so digital stuff. Anyway, so I was just saying to you that when you talk about DSOs, people think about unimaginable solutions and things about very complicated numbers, data. Sometimes it's the very simple thing that will make
Simple
the
things.
difference. Anyway,
Cool. Leah, thank you for sharing that. So thanks for your
thank you.
time. I know we went over, but I hope, I think people will derive a lot of value from there was a lot of things that were packed. And I think we will do another, maybe a part three, like I'm calling this a part two, but part
Yes.
three, maybe talk about inclusivity, diversification, sustainability, and focus on that and the leadership styles that people can have and still make an impact.
Yes.
And I think let's do a
Let's
part three
let's
soon on
do.
that. But yeah,
Absolutely. Look.
but I think it just want to thank you for kind of unpacking so many things in that brief 1 hour slot that we had. And I hope that people drive a lot of value from this, because there's a lot of simple things that you spoke about, and I think maybe using your services to unpack them further and understanding which areas are holding them back, which there is a blind spot in the business that they're not looking at today, which is the cost, for
Yes, and
example, that you mentioned.
be humble sometimes to hear,
Yeah.
because one of the things that I find is this kind of a resistance to, if you are a business owner, is the resistance to say that if you would do in this way, you would probably have a better result. And the business, you need to know how to say those things as well. Of course, I would not say like that,
Mm.
but it's just to tell people that it's not because you own that business for 10 years that you should continue doing the same thing. One of the reasons why
Same
I'm
thing.
here, it's because I want you to improve. So also that kind of a relationship is important. So I hope that they listen to and that they watch this podcast. And it's always a pleasure, Nipun. I love talking to you. I love actually exchanging, ideas about all the things as well. And pleasure being here and looking forward for our next one. That's it. Have a good week, and talk to you next.
Yeah, same to you. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And if you are, entering into the journey of starting your own clear aligner services or setting up a manufacturing unit or setting up a chain of clinics, offering clear aligners, you would need a really good quality software, which should have the case management side of things, which should have a remote monitoring side of things, and also should be white labeled. Smile Genius Dental provides you all in one software to do everything that you will need on those key areas. We provide you with the doctor's portal, which is the dentist facing portal where they can submit the cases and remote monitor the patient's progress. We provide the labs with the lab case management side of things where they can manage the incoming requests from the doctors, but also have visibility of the operation side from the patient side as well. And then we have provided the patient monitoring app because it's all about compliance and engagement at the end. So Smile Genius Dental is the all-in-one platform which is white labeled for your brand to provide you with your consumers with that end-to-end experience to provide more efficiency and productivity to your business without needing you to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and years of development time to build the software yourself. So call in to our team or book an appointment with us, and we'll be happy to walk you through what Smile Genius is all about. But until next time, stay tuned for the next really good episode of the Digital Dentistry Deep Dive podcast.